Good evening. My name is Todd Baltz.
I am Claire Garrett.
I'm Father Stephen Elser.
And this is tonight's episode in October for Uni News. Good evening. My name is Todd Baltz. I'm filling in for Danny Ellis and give us a little brief overview of tonight's episode. We're going to catch up about what's happening, and also Claire and Father are going to give us a preview about what's coming up, both at church and the community. And then our big interview tonight is with Teresa, Baltz, and Rene Tyler. They went this summer to a Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis. And they had a really good time, and they had a lot of interesting things to share with us, most especially how they actually arrived there. So let's just jump right in. Claire, I know you've been involved with the Growing Minds Foundation for a while, and y'all just had a festival at the beginning of October. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'll tell you, Todd, my sister Abby Tyler she does quite a bit with that. Honestly, me and the boys, we just show up and have a good time.
Awesome.
And so that's what we did. And it was a fantastic turnout. They did a little bit different this year. They had some 11 bounce houses, some food vendors, and it was great. It was a good day. It was a good hot day.
The hamburgers, by the nuts hummus were very good.
Very good.
You can sell them across the park.
Yes. It was very good. We had tons of fun. It was hot. It was a hot day, but I guess it's better than rain.
Better than rain.
That's true.
The sun was shining.
Yep.
And then did your, I think you're involved in another civic organization called Junior Auxiliary, and y'all had a game night earlier
Yes, I
this year?
am.
This fall?
I am involved in Junior Auxiliary of Randolph County, and it's a group of women that get together and we raise money for the community and put all that money right back into Randolph County itself. We had a game night, and our theme this year is disconnect to reconnect.
Okay.
And so we were trying to disconnect all, iPads and electronics and trying to reconnect with our families and our siblings. And so we had a game night at the Pocahontas Elementary School. It was a large success. We had tons of fun, just a whole bunch of board games, kids playing board games. And so bingo and some large bowling pins, and the kids had a blast.
And that probably ties in well with having the Growing Minds thing a month later, getting outside as well.
Right, yes. So we plan on doing ours again, the Junior Auxiliary, the game night in January, just again to get kids away from the electronics and back into the good old-fashioned board games.
Plus, they're being creative and engaging with one another, and also winter months might be something else to do, get out of the house.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Father Elser, we kind of launched our parish app, I know, earlier this fall. How are the downloads going?
Downloads have been pretty good. The statistics that they give me on the administrative side say that we've had about maybe like 175 or so downloads, which is good. Our kind of average unique user per day kind of hovers around 40 to 50 on average. So that's just a person each and every day picking up the app. That's about 40 or 50 or so. Probably the most it's used for are the messages that we've been putting out, the bulletin, and the groups part. Those are the three that have really kind of come to the fore, which, I mean, one of the reasons we got this thing was for communication and messages, bulletin, and the group. Those are all communication parts of the app. And the other things are good as well, kind of the different inspirational things, the things that deepen, our Catholic faith and whatnot. People are using those as well. But like I said, the majority of it's being used, at least so far, for those communication purposes. And as I mentioned in a homily recently, we also got the evangelist service with it, which I'm trying to still kind of figure out and trying to use it and whatnot. But it's been very helpful on our end to be able to get the word out in just so many different ways that we weren't able to before. So, it's all very new. So we're all still kind of figuring out how to best use it, whatnot. But
will not, I think, allow you to use that one service, and then it'll post to all the churches' social media pages and websites, kind of one time.
Yes. So it allows us to put out a message in 6 different avenues. So text message, email, the app, Facebook page, Twitter, and our website. We don't have a Twitter or X account, as you know. We don't have an account there, but I'm happy to get one if that's something parishioners are interested in, and that's a space we need to be in. We can always get an account there. And as far as the texts and emails go, you do have to register for the service in order to get those. I can force people on there through our database and everything, but I brought that up at parish council, and they said, no, let's let people, voluntarily sign up for that. So we're trying to put out some more information about how to register for that account. So if you want to receive text from us or email, you're able to do so and get those updates and whatnot. But again, those messages will be on the app and Facebook and our website and everything. So, and speaking of the website, I've recently, within the past month or so, have done some work to try and rearrange things and to, integrate this so that news does show up on the website and everything. Trying to keep the bulletin up to date on the website and everything. So, of course, it's a lot, but we're trying to be better with that communication with the parishes.
Awesome. How have the school masses been since everyone's kind of get back into it?
School masses have been going very well. We normally do school masses on Fridays at 9 a.m. And, there are a few exceptions here and there, like, for example, towards the end of December, all of the teachers, all the Catholic school teachers from across the state had a conference in Little Rock, so we did school mass on Wednesday that week. So we try to keep people aware and up to date when those school mass changes happen. But yeah, school masses have been very good. This year, we've tried to incorporate our pre-K students in the school masses. Something we've done in the past. We didn't really do it a whole lot last year, but Ms. Steimel and I thought it would be good to kind of at least get them in every once in a while, if not every single Friday, so that they're used to Mass, especially as they transition into kindergarten the following years. So we don't have the 3-year-old pre-K class join us, but the other preschool students, especially the 4-year-olds, are joining us on a regular basis.
Awesome.
So we pretty much have the whole school there on Fridays in the church.
I've been to those masses.
Okay.
And I think those pre-K kids do pretty good.
They do good.
They do really well.
We've got them right into the front row, which I think helps because they can see everything that's going on.
It's precious because when everyone else kneels, at times they don't. They have to stand.
Right.
So they're not, and then, but if you haven't ever gone to a school mass, that is something that
But they are open to parishioners.
It is, yes. You have to be there at 9 o'clock or the doors will lock.
Yes.
For safety purposes.
Right. I think we've addressed that before, but, it's the times we live in, right?
Right.
When the kids are in the church basically becomes the school. So we've got to put in security measures like we do at the school.
Right.
So we do lock those doors right at 9 o'clock. You can get out, of course, so that we're staying within fire code, but you can't get back in. So, so please, if you do join us, more than welcome to, but please do get there at least before 9 o'clock. Sometimes we're a little late, so you could probably squeeze in at 9:01 or 2, but 9 o'clock is when the doors are pretty much full off.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of school, I know earlier in September, they had See at the Pole, which is a student-led event, usually at the flagpole in between M.D. Williams and Pocahontas Junior High School. And I remember going to it, and generally have a lot of good attendance by pastors and members of the community. And thankfully, they bring donuts for all these hungry students. But the students lead this prayer service, and it can be large or small depending on the student organization kind of putting it together. But I think, Father Elser, you were there this year, and did you help serve breakfast?
I did, yes. Kind of led by the Ministerial Alliance. Of course, I say that I'd give credit where credit's due. Sutton did a lot of the work in organizing the event, but a lot of the ministers from the Ministerial Alliance were there. And yes, I did help serve donuts. I think the school buses get there about 7:15 or so. So the idea was we were going to start at 7 and do the donuts afterwards, but kind of wanted to wait for the school buses to get there so more students could join us. So we ended up serving the donuts first between 7 to 7:15, and then went into the prayer service and continued to serve donuts afterwards. And of course, we ran out of donuts. We had so many students, which is it's a good thing.
Good problem.
Right? It's good that happens.
Just clean up very easy. That way, no pastor has to be like, "You take the donuts. I'll take the donuts."
Right. Exactly.
Well, transitioning to upcoming events, because already you can tell fall's really busy, and we still have quite a bit to go before we hit into winter. Claire, what's coming up with the youth and CYM this coming fall?
So coming up, the Junior High Youth Rally will be November 10th. It is $50 a child and it is held in Little Rock. And then Search is this year on December 13th. It's also in Little Rock. And to learn more about that, you would need to talk to your core member or the CYM minister, which I believe is Dylan.
Is Dylan Clark, yes.
Mm-hmm. So, but I was a driver last year to the Junior High Youth Rally, and it was something to see all those young kids get together,
for sure.
In a Catholic setting.
I never went to a youth rally, but I went to Search, and I imagine you did too, Father Elser. Mm-hmm. Did you end up going?
I did not go to Search.
I just remember
many youth rallies, but no Search.
I just remember Search being really engaging and a really good time.
Yes, it was.
Plus,
very
you
good
get
experience.
the cool cross. You see everyone wearing the year before.
Yeah, that's right. The waffle cross,
And everyone wants to keep theirs, and eventually you lose it, and you're really sad. And then it is October, and so obviously Halloween's at the end of this month. Claire, do we know of any events that are happening around Halloween? Any trunk or treat events happening?
I think
in the
so.
community?
I
don't think St. Paul's is having one.
No, St. Paul's doesn't usually have one. I'll say that the First Baptist Church and the First Methodist Church usually have a very large trunk or treat. And this year is going to be on October 27th. It's from 4 to 6, and it will be held inside the First Baptist Church. But usually, if it's raining, but usually they have their vehicles set up, their trunks are open, tons of candy between both of those. And I think that knowing when it is, the police officers are there helping direct traffic. Well, even just helping some of the kids get across the road.
Good.
So,
that's awesome.
Other than that, it looks like October 31st, Riverside Kubota, and then Sutton Baptist Church will always have theirs the night of Halloween as well. So
a lot of events coming up.
Yeah, I also mentioned St. John's is going to have their hayride tradition on that Sunday, October 27th as well at 4:30 in the evening or the afternoon. So
that'll be tons of fun.
So that'll be good too.
Awesome. And well, speaking of St. John's, they have their fall festival November 3rd at noon after Mass, and it's always really good food. They have a raffle, I believe.
Yes.
Bingo.
And bingo and kid games and petting zoo, little petting zoo.
Yep.
So,
lots of fun. I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So make plans to attend that one. And the day before, November 2nd, actually back in town, the Downtown Network is having a November Fest. They're going to have live music, food trucks, craft booths. So that weekend, November 2nd and 3rd, will be a lot of activity for you to get out, unplug, not be on tablets, and be among your family and friends in the community. Also, going into November, toward the end, obviously Thanksgiving coming up. and we're going to, again, participate in the Thanksgiving meal, the Ministerial Alliance. The location is 2BA unless you know something else, Father.
I just met with the Ministerial Alliance, and it's still to be determined.
It is November 26th at 6 p.m. on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It also is later on the month this year. And then way in advance, but actually right after Thanksgiving, is the Bazaar, December 8th, held here at the Life Center. And Jesus is the sweetest gift, I believe, is the theme, correct, Claire?
It is.
Awesome.
Yes, always a fun time here at the Parish Life Center.
Save that date.
Save the date. Got a lot to write down. Father, do you have any other dates coming up we should be aware of?
Yeah, just a few. So just kind of looking towards the end of October, the beginning of November, of course, we've got a Holy Day of Obligation. That is November 1st, which is All Saints. And, of course, October 31st is Halloween, the day before. We'll have our kind of normal Mass schedule so that people can be able to get to Mass on that holy day. 4 p.m. in Corning, 6 p.m. at St. John's on October 31st. And then November 1st, the school Mass at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is the big All Saints Day and Grandparents' Day for students. So that'll be a very big event.
Claire, do you know your saints yet?
I do not.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
I believe pre-K they are always angels.
They're always angels.
Okay.
That's true.
Not always the best idea.
Yeah.
Does the halo fit? I'm not certain.
You can probably switch it out and go to confession afterwards.
Okay.
Right.
But John Henry, I have not asked yet. We just got the. It was a little
sign up or something.
The sign up. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, day before, anyway. And so I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Yep, we have to do a poster.
Mm-hmm.
Dress up. So. Also, if you've never been to an All Saints Day
it's really good.
Mass with the children, and it's fantastic.
And Miss Steimel, a couple of years ago, decided to do the parade around the church. That was originally because of COVID, so we could all spread out, but we kind of kept it because it was fun to parade around the church in the costumes and everything.
Yes.
So we'll have the All Saints Day parade that morning after Mass.
Is it still a half day? So it's a little more flexible.
It's still a half day because right after we'll come here into the Life Center and do Grandparents' Day and dismiss basically for lunch so that kids can go with their grandparents to lunch, right? Kids go with their grandparents.
That is exactly where they're going.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Heads up.
Yeah,
and then we'll have 6 p.m. Mass that evening for those who maybe don't want to participate in that, maybe busy on Halloween. Right. They can catch a 6 p.m. Mass here at the church on November 1st. And then just to kind of round out November 6th, we're having confirmation with the bishop. So the bishop will be here celebrating our confirmation for, I think it's about 14 of our students. We just had a confirmation retreat with those teenagers. It was a really good retreat, too. So we'll have that on November 6th. And then November's the month of All Souls. And so we will, on November 10th, I'll do cemetery blessings for St. John's Cemetery right after the 8 o'clock Mass, and then our cemetery right after the 10:30 Mass on that Sunday, November 10th. We may have an episode before then, but just in case we don't, we'll make sure
speaking of
we get those in.
Blessing cemeteries, sorry, springing this on you, do we have any updates on the columbarium?
Sure. No kind of substantial update right now. I don't know if I've mentioned on the show before, but they did get to us during the summertime, so they're still constructing the main parts of the columbarium. The radial units, the curved units have to be constructed on site. So once they finish the octagon unit, the back wall unit, as well as the crucifix and the altar, they're going to contact us when they're ready to ship it. We're going to pay them the second third of the payment, and then they'll ship it down here. And we'll have a few parishioners who are doing some concrete work, lay the concrete pad out here so that when it gets here, it'll be all ready to go.
Where is it getting shipped from?
From Minnesota, from a company up there called Cold Spring. Okay. So they've been very, very good to work with.
Fantastic.
And we're hoping, I would say probably best case scenario would be like early or late spring we would see things happening. Awesome. So yeah, that'll be good to have that.
So any other dates coming up?
I'm sure there's more, but that's the ones that come to mind.
If you miss any dates.
Right. except for one that we're going to talk about here in a second.
An important date back in October. We have a young adult dinner coming up, which is a really nice thing the Parish Life Committee has kind of helped put together. And Father, I think we're talking about why we worship as Catholics, or how we worship as Catholics. Can you give us a little preview, maybe an interesting point you kind of thought we should know about?
So, again, this is our young adult night at 6 p.m. on October 23rd. And we're kind of continuing with the Eucharistic Revival theme, right? This is the last year of the Eucharistic Revival. You could say the last official year, because we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to our belief in the Eucharist. You probably remember Father Michael Wirtz came, I guess it was last Christmas, to do a parish mission on the Jewish roots of the Eucharist. And was very, very well put together, I thought well attended and everything. And so this is kind of a continuation of that, kind of along the lines of the author there, Dr. Brant Petrie, kind of looking at not just the Jewish roots of the Eucharist and the Last Supper, which is very, very important. It's a very good book. I highly recommend that book as well. But this is kind of diving more deeply into the Mass and looking kind of at the scriptural roots of the Mass, maybe even we could say the kind of the Jewish roots of the Mass, right? Because there's a lot of continuity between Old Testament and New Testament when it comes to our celebration of the Mass. And so I know there are a lot of different topics that our young adults have given me and different ideas. But again, kind of sticking with the Eucharistic Revival theme, at least for the moment. I want to kind of dive a little bit into those kind of scriptural roots and even Jewish roots of the Mass itself.
So will this be you doing it, or will you be having a video?
I'll be doing some of it. We are going to use some of Dr. Brant Petrie's material as well for the presentation. So it'll be kind of a mixture of the two. So
excellent. And we'll have childcare provided, I believe, right?
Yes. I believe they'll be in the cafeteria at school.
Okay. Awesome.
With
and they get
food,
a meal.
With food, right.
Yep.
So
the young adults get a meal too, right?
Yes. I believe we're doing chili. So it'll be cold enough, or, fall enough by October 23rd for chili.
Enough. Right.
As we wrap up, speaking of the Eucharistic Revival, the interview this month with Teresa Baltz and Rene Tyler. They actually went to the Eucharistic Congress held in Indianapolis. And so they went and celebrated the Ministry of Eucharist with over 50,000 Catholics from across the U.S. And what was really neat that I had learned from the interview with them was how they got there, but also that there were 4 different processions from across the U.S. Kind of starting before the event, and they ended, and they processed in with Jesus these different groups with a monster system from a kind of north, south, east, and west. And that was just really neat. I know they kind of practiced it last year, and it was just really neat kind of seeing the practice to the final version. But Claire, those upcoming events, we have the St. John's Fall Festival.
St. John Fall Festival, the Thanksgiving Ministerial Alliance, the Bazaar. There's, what
we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, we covered quite a bit. All Saints Day. All of these events will be in the app.
Yes, correct? I'll be sure to. We've got that calendar part of the app, so I'll make sure these events are in the calendar part, and we'll make sure that we get the word out on these things.
Great.
So.
Awesome. And young adults dinner, that's going to be really good, right, Father Elsie?
Yes, October 23rd. That'll be that Wednesday. And with the app too, just make sure you get on there and download the app. I'm sure we'll put a link to be able to download it. Really, all you have to do is search in your app store for My Parish, and then find our parish whenever you download that app.
I think it does via zip code, right?
Yeah, so you just put in 72455, and you'll be able to find us.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the interview with Rene and Teresa, and we will see you next month on Unity News. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's episode of Unity News. I'm here with Teresa Baltz, who is one of our women's Bible study coordinators, and Rene Tyler, who is on the Parish Life Committee, helping make sure our church has a lot of activities to do. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Glad we're here.
So tonight's episode or interview is talking about a trip they went on this summer, where they went to the National Eucharistic Congress held in Indianapolis. Now, for review, this is the third year that Catholics all across the United States are trying to deepen their faith in the Eucharist. This is the year of the Eucharistic Congress and missionary sending, trying to get us as Catholics to go out from our parish, from our diocese, out into our communities. This began back in June 2022 with the Year of Diocesan Revival, and that kind of was helping the bishops and dioceses meet with their leaders across their locations and plan, organize, and help say, hey, where are churches struggling in our beliefs? How can we help refresh them? And the year two, which started last year, it was a year of parish revival. And so a lot of us remember last year, especially St. Paul's and St. John's, getting together at either our brand new Parish Life Center or at St. John's Hall or even in Little Rock, and trying to have more specific Bible studies or small group sessions or even talks led by our priest, Father Elser, on the Eucharist and why it's central to our faith as Catholics. But again, this interview is because these two went on a trip this summer, and they went to Indianapolis, and them and about 50,000, is that right? 75,000? 60,000 Catholics of across the United States. And I'm going to put up a map showing how they traveled there, because that was an experience themselves, how several Catholics arrived in Indianapolis. But they went there to celebrate this last year of Eucharist revival, to both come together and rejoice in that faith, but also there were breakout sessions, they were encounter sessions, or empowerment sessions, I think they were called, and as well as keynote addresses, and even service projects. So there was a lot happening at Indianapolis, Indiana this year around the Lucas Oil Stadium. So that happened this summer, and so we're going to jump right into it. So y'all went. How'd y'all decide to go? Was that a group decision? Did the priest put you up to it? Did did your grandkids say, get out of here, go away?
Just the Holy Spirit led us, or led me, and I just wanted to experience my faith with other like-minded Catholics.
And, well, that's for me too, but Teresa's the one that she, asked me if I wanted to go, because I probably wouldn't have if she hadn't asked.
Yeah.
And we'd had the 7 videos up here on the Eucharistic Revival that really, touched me too with just those. So I really wanted to go.
Excellent. So did y'all just sign up online, or did y'all go through the bishop's office? How did, y'all get going with that? Just a simple go online and sign up?
Well, actually, I'm going to plug Father Rocky.
Okay.
Where's
he at?
Relevant Radio.
Okay.
Yes, he is the priest at Relevant Radio.
Don't they have a magazine?
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I'm sure they do. But anyway, and he is a priest up north, and I'm not for sure if it's Michigan or Minnesota.
Okay.
But I know maybe Wisconsin.
Okay.
And anyway, I get emails from them, and he the Nativity Pilgrimage in Texas was signing up for Father Rocky.
Okay.
He chose them to take care of his Eucharistic Congress tickets. Okay. And so we signed up through them, and they provided our tickets. We had a special seating in the stadium where we were up close and could see, had good seats. And that also opened us up to other special sessions where we met Father Rocky and met all the people of Relevant Radio. And so that's how we got how we got there.
That's cool. I mean, and again, that shows you and kind of reminds us that the Catholic faith is worldwide, or in this case, from down south to up north in the United States. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, walk me through when you got there. We have, y'all sent me some photos, but when you arrived, y'all met up with Father Rocky's group, but did y'all sign up online for y'all's kind of breakout sessions, or is that like there in person?
We had to sign up beforehand because there was, so many people going, and they had to actually close some of the sessions.
Wow.
Because there were so many, wanting to attend specific ones.
Yeah.
So we signed up beforehand.
Excellent. So from some of those sessions, I saw there were several morning sessions and then some afternoon breakout sessions. What did y'all kind of walk me through a normal day when y'all got there? Y'all had mass. I think y'all had mass in the morning, right?
Well, yes. Well, one thing we probably should have prepared a little bit more for was walking. First day. That first day we walked probably 10 miles.
Oh man,
Yes,
it was pretty spread out.
Well, it kind of was, but I mean there was just so many different activities, to go to, and so you went back from one building to the convention center, back to the stadium.
And it wasn't like it was in June or anything when it was hot or
it really wasn't bad. It wasn't
was
bad.
Breezy.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
The convention center is huge.
Okay.
It's huge, and all those breakout sessions were in there, and then there was a big one in the stadium.
Okay.
But you're right. It started. I think Father Rocky
Started with the rosary.
Started with rosary every morning. And then there was mass in Lucas Stadium, and it was always full. And then you could stay in the stadium for whatever they were having there, or you could go back to the convention center, to the different breakouts there.
So what was something y'all did after mass that was a really good event y'all went to after mass?
Well, one of them that I went to that was in the stadium, I just stayed there. It was called let's see. The Eucharistic timeline from the Old Testament to the New.
Okay.
And I think it was Father Michael Schmitz that did that. And of course, without anything in hand or whatever, he started it out, with Melchizedek, and the manna in the desert, all the way. Everything, one step after another, he led us all through that, all the way through that.
The roots of the Eucharist from the Old Testament to the New and then to today.
Yes. And it was just amazing. Of course, Father Michael, if he's the one that did it, he is an amazing speaker anyway. So it was, that really was a good session.
Did they have like handouts during that session, or was it kind of just you were sitting and listening to the speaker talk?
Just sitting, listening at
so that one was like a
one.
larger size.
It was.
Event.
It was.
All of them were pretty large.
Okay.
There was, I know, and the ones that I went, which was smaller than the stadium, it was more in probably
like
a room
as parish life center size.
Well, probably as big as the whole parish life center, and there was 400 or 500 people, in that one room, and I went in some of EWTN's talks, and
what did they focus on? Was it about how to bring some of the things back home to your parish, or was it kind of some more history stuff?
It was about EWTN.
Okay.
Just about their programs and what their programs consist of, and that was pretty well on those, and I went to a meeting too with the Eucharistic Congress. I went into that. That was a private meeting for this next year, Walk with One, and they talked about that. And also, I saw the movie on. I should have prepared a little bit more.
I didn't know that, so I can't help you.
But anyway,
it
was a private viewing on a movie on a young lady that is in the process of going through making a saint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Canonization.
Canonization, yes.
Yeah, that fancy long Catholic word.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
One of the sessions I went to was called Awakening the Sleeping Giant.
Okay.
Yes.
And it was, I can't tell you all about it, but the main thing that I took away from it was that, of course, the Latinos, are a large segment of our Catholic faith. And there's, so many in there.
Yeah.
But they have their own culture too. So what a lot of the churches are doing, they are having, it's like they have one parish, but two churches.
Yes.
And that's what they're trying to get away from.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying, we should be, incorporate their culture into our activities, but we should all be going to the same mass.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a separate mass just for Latinos.
There are several music books that have songs that are bilingual, that you sing the verse or chorus in English and Hispanic, or then Spanish, and then back and forth. Several times when we had our Hispanic services here several years ago, I continued playing with that same group of Hispanics who came here and helped us sing. I would go to Blessed Sacrament and play with them, or travel around the Northwest Arkansas region to help them do weddings and quinceañeras. And many times it was totally in Spanish, but sometimes they would have it split. And then several of their music books were our Glory and Praise books, and they were, the verses and choruses would go back and forth. So definitely the Catholic Church is trying to do that, because priests being able to do 3-4 masses a day can get really exhausting for them.
Well, and it brings you together more as a family too. It's not, we have this family and we have this family over here. When we try to incorporate it all, into one mass, especially the most important part, it's bringing that family together. So did
that breakout session talk about how you might put together a bilingual liturgy?
Well, it's not, still they're trying to get it away, maybe more away from bilingual, to where, because they are living here, and trying to get it to be, but still, incorporate their songs, their customs, when they have an activity, we come together as one. Is what that's what the goal is with this group of people. Right. Yeah, it was. They even said, because I didn't know what awakening the sleeping giant meant, but they said, well, we used that because we were afraid if we used something, more, that people wouldn't come. So it was a packed room.
Well,
there was a lot of statistics, which I can't, I took a lot of pictures, but I don't have any of that in my brain.
That's okay. I mean, there's definitely a need. And I know from some friends who do missionary work in South America that they're hungry for the work of the Lord, they're hungry to grow in their faith, and that they'll go to a Catholic church, Catholic Mass in the morning, and then go to an Assembly of God service at night. I mean, there's definitely a hunger to grow spiritually, as well as there are things to correct in terms of their own beliefs growing up culturally and how they mesh with Christianity. So there's very much a big need to have resources and have us be prepared as fellow Christians to receive them whenever they come to our part of the world. Well, excellent. Any specific things jump out at you from your breakout or those empowerment sessions they had, besides what we already talked about?
No, I think Rene pretty well covered it.
Now, I want to. I saw online the schedule events that at night they had like several speakers, plus they had Mass, plus they had something after Mass. So after you had dinner, what did things look like at night? And what were some of the more engaging or things that stand out to you about some of those events taking place at night?
Well, one thing that I remember was the adoration.
Okay.
We came to, the music was beautiful. They had the orchestra there from Indiana, and then they also had other, popular singers there. And so the music was just beautiful there. And of course that drew people in, to that adoration mode or whatever you want to call it, and the priest coming in and Jesus coming in and monstrance, people, 50,000 people kneeling on these, hard, the reverence, that was just, I think like Teresa said once, you have 50,000 people with kids, babies, total silence at times, just adoring the Lord as they brought, as he came in.
That first night, is that when, as I showed this picture earlier, is that when those caravans or processions from across the United States? Is that when they arrived that first night, kind of
Yeah.
all coming together?
Yes.
Because one thing that the Eucharistic Congress did for this last year, they prepared across four corners of the United States, north, south, east, and west, essentially, and they had parishes and churches and dioceses sign up to help bring the Eucharist and the monstrance from a far point of the United States all the way up to Indianapolis. And so you had, I know there was a lot of details that worked out, how far you could travel with it in the car versus how to carry it. And it was, they did a trial one a year ago, and that was really interesting to hear them working through the kinks and like, okay, we gotta make sure we have enough water, we gotta make sure we have enough aid stations or whatever. But tell me about how they handled that. 'Cause that's really, A, really Catholic, but also B, really neat to have these processions from across the United States come together for this event. How did that happen that first night?
Each group
Okay.
Met together. Oh, yeah, that's right. They carried in. Each group came in with their own procession.
Okay.
And then finally Bishop Cousins came in with a monstrance.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So I interrupted you earlier. What did you think was really impactful about those evening sessions with Mass and adoration and the speakers?
They started off with the speakers.
Okay.
And you start off with the speakers, and that would build you up. I mean, you could feel the Holy Spirit, and Father Mike was just awesome, and Bishop Barron, of course, we all love him too, and then you go from singing and swaying to drop down to your knees to the for the Lord, and just the Holy Spirit, you could feel it. You could just feel the Holy Spirit in there.
That's awesome.
And everybody was just so in love with the Holy Eucharist, and
That's wonderful.
it was really emotional.
That's excellent.
And what's also amazing was the number of young people,
Yes.
and the young priests that were there. There was, I don't know how many different priests were there all together, but there were at least 900 priests there every day. So, and then
And young sisters.
and young sisters, and young families with children, several children there, and during this, they were quiet. I mean, I guess the Spirit was moving there, and
They could tell something was going on.
Yes, yes, and joy. The whole several days there was just so much joy there that that's one thing. I know we're not to that part yet, but that I hope that we can somehow bring back and let people know the joy there is in adoring the Lord like that. Yeah.
And did some of that joy, did that kind of translate into, I know they had a service project thing on, like every day I saw there was like a section, you go out into the community or do something there. Tell me about that. Did y'all participate in that? I think I saw a photo of someone, y'all in hairnets, but what was going on with that?
I had some time, so I went to it, and it was in the convention center. And there were, I don't know how many tables were set up, but actually it was called the Million Meals Project. Okay. And it was for Indiana. It was for the food banks and the food pantries in Indiana. And they packed 420,000 meals during that time.
It's amazing. But, you have 50,000 hands, you can get a lot done.
Yeah. And I think I posted a picture there, and it was a young girl, I think she was 12 or 13, just having the time of her life. She was there with her family, older sister and her mother and father, and they were just, working together, and just, she was just having the time of her life. And so that was good seeing that young person, being active that way.
They brought her there and said, hey, it's fun, it's good to go be around fellow Christians. And then when you're around fellow Christians, not only do you worship the Lord together, also do you learn about more about your faith, but also you take what you're learning and you do something with it to serve others. Right. And that's a really good lesson to equip for her.
Right. And Rene took a picture of some sisters that was ministering to the homeless.
Okay.
That was on the sidewalk, and that was very, very moving to see that.
Yeah, the sisters, were just.
Well, it's very impressive for someone to feel like calling for religious life, go devote themselves to that. I noticed we have our our doorways up here at St. Paul's and probably St. John and St. Joseph's, a new flyer of some initiate nuns and monks who are joining those holy orders.
The religious, right.
And so that's really awesome.
Right.
Now, part of it's always fun to go to a event, whether that's a night of worship, that's a concert, that's a 5-day long conference, or in this case, Congress. What did y'all kind of take away from it? You mentioned joy earlier. Go into more about that.
Well, I've already said, the reverence, is just, you knew the Holy Spirit was there. We've already talked about how, it's just amazing seeing babies and young people and young adults and just kneeling in front of the Lord. I mean, this was about Jesus. Mm-hmm. This whole conference was about Jesus and his love for us. That Holy Eucharist is there because Jesus died for us. Mm-hmm. And so
that too, but and the joy, but the joy in the Lord, but again, seeing all these young sisters there, there was a group of, 5, 6, 7 that were there from Los Angeles.
Okay. Wonderful.
They had traveled and they were all young. Yeah. And I think 4 of them were converts. Okay. And sat there and talked to them, while we were eating and even at the stadium, they were dancing there and, in their seats, they were happy. They said one of the number one reasons that young women join the religious is going through adoration. Okay. And they hear it. They're in adoration. Okay. Whether they're Catholic or not, they're going there for some reason, Yeah. But they said that's the number one reason that young women go into the religious life. Wonderful. It's what they hear there.
The encounter.
Right, the encounter there. Yeah. But these sisters, they worked out on the streets in Los Angeles. There was other ones from Texas. There were some from Arkansas, from Blessed Sacrament, Jonesboro. They were from all over the country. But most of them were young. Okay. Most of them that I saw were young. Mm-hmm.
So would you say you kind of left with a sense of maybe hope for the future of the Catholic Church in America? Because this was a national event of primarily American Catholics. Yes. So you definitely sounded like y'all left with a good sense of the church is strong and going to remain strong in America.
Very, very helpful. Very helpful. And in the Cardinal Tagle said at the very last Mass before we left on that Sunday, he said, "We're now on mission. We're to spread the fire and reach to help others to better know the Jesus in the church." And he said, "Go, go," and we are to go out on mission and to bring as many as we can to the Lord.
Yeah. So that definitely is very in line with Pope Francis' evangelization focus, as his years of being a pope, especially the last couple of years, of Catholics being more out there and more public with their faith and not afraid to talk to others no matter what stage of life they're in.
It's a witness. We are a witness by our life, what we say and do. Yeah.
I think it's already helped me some, to be maybe a little bolder.
Good.
And just knowing there's so many out there that need it. I want them to have the joy that we felt, the reverence that we felt while we were in that stadium. It's hard to experience that every day in life.
It is. It
but when you do experience, you want to just keep going back and back to that.
I just wanted to bottle it up and bring it home.
I completely understand what you're saying. I went, growing up, I went to St. Paul's, but also went to Assembly God in Pocahontas, here in Pocahontas. My last year of high school, I talked to our still pastor of Assembly, Pastor Harry Miller. Said, "Hey, I'm not going to your church right now, but can I write your name down on this form?" Because it was my last year to attend youth camp down in Hot Springs. And I had been to youth camp several years down there. And the worship services, the preaching is very good. I wanted to go into my college years with kind of extra infilling of the Holy Spirit and prepared, and a little bit extra joy that way, in case the colleges are crazy and intense, I could be prepared spiritually to go. So I definitely understand of trying to go someplace in the summer whenever things have slowed down a little bit with maybe your life or your job. I'm going to take some time off and go spend time with the Lord. So do you think this is something either our diocese or our church, or are y'all going to try and do once a year, go away from St. Paul, St. John's, and go have a small encounter with the Lord, with other Catholics, and kind of get filled up and excited, renewed with that joy?
I try to, and I think Rene does too. We've both gone to Subiaco with Debbie Eckert and Father John, and that was amazing. Wonderful encounter with the Lord there, and just yes. And your question, your answer is yes. We do. We need that. And I've told Father, I've got to have a break.
Yeah.
I've got to, the Lord went away by himself to pray and to, So yes, I need that. I need to renew. But anyway, and when you were talking a while ago about some of the speakers, Rumi, he whenever he read the John chapter 6, the Bread of Life discourse, and that was very, very touching when he read that, and then the Holy Eucharist came in. That was amazing. That was really amazing. Jonathan Rumi, I believe.
Oh yes.
I couldn't think of his first name, but from The Chosen.
Yeah.
He was amazing too.
So did they talk about, this was a year, 3 year, 2.5 year long, probably more like 4, planning, getting everyone signed up to go and organize it, speakers, musicians, vendors lined up. But did they say about, will they try and do something next year or a couple of years later?
Well, at 2033.
Okay, so a little bit of ways.
But notice the date.
The 2033, that is 2,000 years. That will be the year of redemption. And so that's 9 years that they are going to have another one. But with that said, that will be the national one, but there is an international one.
Yes, Ecuador, right?
No, it is in Sydney, Australia in 2028. And that is the International Eucharistic Congress. Okay. Yeah, and I told Rene, we've got to start saving our money.
That's awesome. That's going to be a great one to head back on. Talk about our trip to Down Under. That's great.
Yeah. I think they might have some smaller times too. I think they're trying to go to California next year, if that was still in the works.
Yes,
just a smaller encounter there.
They try and do regional events.
Possibly.
Especially because they have probably more, some big venues like Lucas Oil Stadium to host a big crowd.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Well, speaking of coming back from the National Eucharistic Congress, Teresa, you're in charge of the women's Bible studies here in our parishes. Did you bring any specific maybe studies you want to try out, or have you already? Do you have a plan for this fall semester and spring?
I actually got to meet Lisa, Lisa Breckemeyer. She is the author of Walking with Purpose, and that is the studies that the women in our parish really enjoy. It's small group studies. We have daily lessons that we use. We have to have a Bible and catechism, and we look up the scripture, and she has questions for us to contemplate on how we can bring that scripture into our daily life. And we do a different study every year. And we've already started with Keeping a Balance this year. And we'll take a break. We always take a break right around the busy holidays. And then we pick it up in January. And we'll have, we'll finish by Lent this year. And we're planning on doing a program during Lent on why we worship. the young adults will get to preview it ahead of time. Father's going to be doing Why We Worship with them, and we'll do it again for the whole parish then during Lent. And it's our worship is different from other Christian denominations, and it just we worship the way we worship for a reason.
Yeah.
And anyway, and that's what it's about, and it's just wonderful.
So did Lisa kind of give you a preview about things she was working on, other upcoming devotionals or Bible studies she was working on?
She's a busy woman. I just
so you got a photo, and that was a highlight.
We talked about my grandson, Zane. My grandson, Zane, went to school with her son when they lived in St. Augustine, Florida. And so I
quickly switched into grandma mode and not into I'm a Bible study teacher. She gave me some tips. Here's my grandson on a photo.
Now we talked about it because I had lunch with her son, and anyway, so we kind of talked about old times, But
that's awesome.
But anyway, and we got to plug Father Wirtz too. He will be here January the 3rd. And he will be discussing history of the Catholic Church.
Well, speaking of Father Wirtz, any of you who are watching this who know him, have his number, are related to him, please encourage him that he has a lot of information. He's just been renominated, or I think, and reelected to a chair on his Society for Liturgy, something. I definitely think he should come on and talk about liturgy and all his research he's doing, because he has a lot of knowledge, and he has done a very good job. Anytime he comes home and visits and preaches at St. Paul, his homilies are always very engaging. And I do know last year he did a talk up here at the Life Center, and it sounded like he's doing one again. But it's really easy to do a Zoom call, and he could easily just do one of his lessons, the other students with us, and then we could have a nice thing where we continue learning and growing about our faith. So encourage Father Wirtz, listeners and viewers. Well,
I think the Why We Worship that we're doing, isn't that by Dr. Petrie?
Yes,
by Dr. Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
And he is an excellent speaker also. And I think even Father Wirtz, when he did his study last December when he was here, that's who he referenced. That he had been studying Dr. Petrie's works.
Wonderful.
So he's a Southerner. He's from Louisiana.
Well, that means it's proved, and he definitely knows what he's talking about. It's from the South. Again, thank y'all for coming on. And like I mentioned up top, one of the things that really inspired me and encouraged me to have y'all on was because I thought it was really neat how the bishops and their diocese and then the National Eucharistic Congress volunteers coordinated those Eucharistic processions from around the United States. That is a very public display of our Catholic faith, and I hope that inspired people participating in it, but also those who pass by to ask the question of who God is, who Jesus is, and how can I know him further. As a quick reminder, remember to download and create an account for the new parish app that Father Elster and the St. Paul, St. John's Facebook pages have been promoting. That's going to help us communicate better. It's in the iTunes store and also Google Play Store. And if you have any questions about this Christian conference I went to, the National Eucharistic Congress, other events or retreats coming up, feel free to send in a question to oneunitynews@gmail.com. If you want to know more about Teresa Bible Study, feel free to email us, leave a comment on the video, or if you're at St. Paul's or St. John's or St. Joseph's, feel free to grab Teresa. She'll be happy to talk to you about it. Otherwise, thank you all very much for coming on the show, and I will see y'all next month.
Thank you, Todd.